All right, well, episode two.
So two,
Episode two of A Passion and Inquiry.
passionate inquiry.
Yeah, which is essentially just my excuse to kind of intentfully
Yeah.
interrogate and examine life and whoever I'm interested in.
For sure.
And you're on the plate
I'm in the
today.
hot seat, yep.
Well, I guess I just want to start everyone with, can you tell the story as deep or as shallow as you want, but the story of your life, like making a movie, like a myth, like what have you done? What's going on?
Okay, so I'll where shall I start? Grimwade?
Sure, I mean,
All
start wherever.
So, well, that's where I met Tim, or kind of came together, was Grimwade. Year 5, I think, year 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And yeah, school, Melbourne Grammar, doesn't have the best sort of memory to me. And that did start at Grimwade, I reckon. I came from I wouldn't want to say like floral family, like a very arty family. My dad's an architect, and that was a bit different to what I was experiencing at Grimwade. The parents, the people there, very materialistic. I didn't really understand that. So that was, I remember the first memory of like school was like dealing with this new world of materialistic things. Like the first thing I can remember was a cricket bat I got to play cricket. And I'd played cricket in England and in Sydney, and I was pretty good, but I never worried about what type of bat I had. And I remember rocking up with this bat and just copying it from the whole cricket team. Like,
Because the bat was
it was not as good as
not
theirs.
the right
and
brand or something.
I was in a lot of abuse for this cricket bat
I kind of remember the cricket bat. Like I was
thing. Yeah.
seas cricket or something, and it was a thing. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
and I remember just being like,
Soccer boots as well.
soccer boots, all of that, I just couldn't wrap my head around, and
Yeah.
I really took it personally. Like, what's wrong? What's going on?
This is your like 11-ish.
Yeah, 11, yeah, year 5 and 6,
Yeah.
6. But that kind of started I don't know, just I didn't really fit with that type of environment. I took everything really personally, and that started a bumpy journey of school. But yes, apart from that,
Would you say that was the same kind of, you could just carry that through the rest of the 6 years of school? Or?
yeah, I had ups and downs of school. I was, popularity is such a weird word to use, and definitely changes what you think is popular in school versus out. But I remember it being very important to me to be popular or to have a lot of friends. But the actual work to have a friend, I didn't really understand how to do. I just thought they kind of like appear, and you know what I mean? Like you'll attract people you're like.
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't have many interests, or you're not putting yourself out there how you meant to do that. So I think, I had a bit of a rough patch trying to attract friends.
So how would you maybe say, what do you reckon, if you can go into your mind back then, was your definition of popularity?
Validation from other people, I reckon, like adoration.
Them saying your cricket bat's all right.
Yeah, exactly right, exactly right. That's exactly it. Or just, being the best at everything. Like adoration for whatever you want to do. Like if you're playing soccer, being adored for being a really good football player, or being the funniest, or just being the best at something. And in the quest for that, I dug myself a bit of a hole. And it's hard, like you're 15 years old, you don't really know anything. And I think I needed a bit of guidance from people. Whereas it was a bit more like the guidance was to let go. That's what everyone was trying to tell me, like just relax. But if you tell someone who's anxious to relax, it's not going to work. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that didn't help. But I got through it. I just became okay by myself. Like I didn't see people after school or on the weekends. Spent a lot of time at home with my family. And I think that definitely had an impact on who I was leaving school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't doom and gloom. It was just, I was in my head all the time. I remember being a very deep thinker. When, again, we've mentioned it, if I had just relaxed, I would have had a much better time.
Sure. Do you have anything that you could say to that kid version of you?
I just wanted to hold his hand,
again,
really.
everyone else was saying just relax. You might say just
No,
relax.
I'd want to hold his hand. I'd want to like, some people need physical, like do this or just focus on this instead of like just relax. Like how do you even define that? Like relax at home, just laugh more. How are you gonna laugh more if you're depressed? Like,
Okay.
so I needed, which I have now, and we'll get on to. I needed direction, like.
So someone needs to say like, this is a path.
Yeah.
Just run.
Just do that and forget about what other people are doing, and that's probably a form of relaxing, like narrowing your focus and not worrying about everything. And soccer, I think, really helped. Like I was pretty good at football and played a lot, and playing at like lunchtimes, that gave me friends and stuff. But yeah, that was probably my school experience.
So would you say like that's because of your whole life and like we're a fair few years out of school now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Would that again? I guess journey to learn how to relax, is that the overriding arc of your life so far?
Yeah, I reckon for sure. School has been a very. It's hard to define school as one thing, but I've definitely got one mood that I put blanket on school, which is probably not correct, but definitely the defining mood of school was like anxiety and that kind of story. But I'm really glad it happened.
And what's happened since?
So,
Because not everyone, it's interesting
Yeah.
you've gone straight to school, because not everyone goes to school. Like as
Right.
in, ask that question.
Yeah.
Some people start at 20, you know?
right, okay, yeah.
So it's
school's
obviously had a huge effect.
Yeah,
like,
so profound. Obviously very negative, but out of negative comes positivity. So yeah, I can't look at my life without looking at school. Like it's just impossible. If I blocked it out, it's a bit like, what are you doing? Like, no, I'm not embarrassed about it at all. Like, it's hard to find your way when you're young, and especially moving to like a new place and new people. But that pushed me to leave Australia, which I did straight away. Didn't do schoolies, didn't do anything. I just left, and I'm so glad I did. I went and
did you actually leave straight after, like, literally?
I had my last exam, caught the flight that night.
Really?
Yeah, me and my dad just
Oh my
pumped it.
God.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Yeah, because your dad, you travelled around Spain. And all that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff,
So he wanted to show me where he lived and stuff and all that stuff. And
right,
my uncle Bongo lives over in Madrid. Just like my dad was aware of the kind of person I was, being his son, and he doesn't do well in that environment either. Like the blokey atmosphere or the materialistic thing. Like he doesn't do well in that.
So he didn't think of like, going to Steiner school or something like this?
I don't know. I think he wanted, like, he didn't want there to be a reason that I turned out wrong. But if he goes, put you in a good school,
Yeah.
like I've done what I can do. And I'm glad he did. I got a good education and I'm grateful for it. But he was aware that I needed to have a break. So it took me around Europe for about a month and then left me there. And I spent best part of a year over there and just was on my own a lot, which I enjoyed. Did a lot of deep thinking, a lot of questioning, a lot of all of...
Same kind of line of deep thinking?
Yeah.
Now you're not in the same circumstance.
I think I'd got same kind of line of deep thinking of like, who am I, what am I doing? And I still had the same flaws of trying too hard and stuff.
Sure.
But now I didn't have...
The cricket bats were...
Exactly. So I could be anyone really. I went to Prague for a week and just walked around and like wore clothes that I look back now, I'm like, what fashion is that? But no one told me off for it.
Sure.
So it was really liberating. It was like quite freeing. I just remember being pretty interested in like stuff that you don't really take interest in Australia, like art, museums and stuff. But then, so did that, traveled, felt like I was accomplishing something that I hadn't really, hadn't had that feeling in a while of accomplishment. So that was really good. Came back, then lockdown.
Yeah.
And that was the quite confronting period where I think the culmination of school, combination of then being alone in Europe and then coming...
But this liberation and then like the opposite of like this is what freedom looks like.
And then...
Now you're not getting anything.
Exactly right. And then being on your own as well, you can't even see the friends that you might have started to make. So yeah, that was pretty hard for me. I remember being very, very depressed. And I remember thinking, am I depressed? Is this what depression is? I'm like looking for a definition of depression.
Google.
Exactly right. I'm like, what is this? Like, what are like? But I didn't feel terribly sad. I just felt so unmotivated to do anything. I wouldn't brush my teeth. Sure. I wouldn't shower.
I think I slightly remember.
Yeah. I wouldn't eat food. It it was hard. I didn't have any friends. I spent my 20th birthday, this is lockdown, at some random Tinder girl's house I met, doing mushrooms. And I remember being like, I just turned 20, and I'm like, damn, this is pretty grim.
I remember you telling me you freaked out when you turned 20.
Yeah.
Like that hit you a bit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I haven't.
Was that because of that as well? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I was like, it's lockdown, but I'm sure people who, again, to use the popular word, who have access to friends and are just doing stuff that inspires growth, whereas I just wasn't growing. It's hard to grow in lockdown, but there's definitely ways, kicking the footy outside and stuff. I just didn't do that. I was texting girls and just being an idiot. But again, that was the product of the journey that I've been on.
sure.
But yeah, that was a turning point. I was like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. But then you said, let's move out together. And that gave me a bit of a lease of like, okay, like I can do this. I can.
Yeah, because we'd lived at the start of lockdown in Flinders.
At my farm,
for what, a few months?
Yeah.
Maybe not even?
Yeah, but almost 2 months, I reckon.
2
I think we
months?
did like 7 weeks or something.
Yeah,
6
it was a
weeks.
good time.
Oh, it was
like,
so good.
just
And yeah,
fun and
genuinely
escape.
just so, like I hadn't, everything I had been deprived of, I had, like cooking my own food and playing games with someone on the TV, to COD and stuff, just that like,
just nature.
yeah,
as well,
just
getting
happiness
into
and
it.
no like limit. I wasn't limited to, okay, I've got a couple hours happiness when I'm jumping on FIFA when I get home from school. Like,
No, we were playing COD till fucking 6
mate, it
a.m.
was amazing. It was what I needed.
Yeah.
Genuinely what I needed.
And they were doing those little weird party things
Oh,
with the
yeah.
gym people.
Yeah,
like.
yeah. It was.
But
yeah.
then you're saying that year in between, because I think after that, yeah, then I was with my dad and it was a bit of a lockdown year.
Yeah.
Like, that was
Because
just
we went
cooked.
into lockdown and we went out and then we went back into an
That's
even
right,
longer
yeah.
one. So it was up and down. But moved to this house, which was the start of greatness, really. Was very depressed for like the first like little bit, but I had started coming out of it. I remember sitting in that room was my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I'd sit in there all day, lights off, just watching YouTube, and like.
That's how to get your brain healthy.
Yeah, oh, it was-
we've all done it, but it's great.
So I remember
for the-
sitting in there and watching an Everest documentary and like having this obsession with Everest. And I remember being like, and I was doing uni, like online uni the whole time, and just didn't have any friends from uni, which contributed to the feeling of loneliness. But I remember watching this Everest documentary and being like, damn, should I like try and climb Everest? Like to give direction to my life. How does one even start that? Do you just find the biggest hill in Australia and just start hiking up it? Like, you know, all those
could
questions.
drive up, I think, the whole way.
How do I get that? How do I start? But then you left to go Queensland.
North, yeah.
And I thought, I'm not living here by myself. I started a soccer team.
That's right.
And I was like, just get out of the house, just do something, just get out. You got to get out. And I remember loving soccer again the whole way through school. So I started my own team, and a couple of the boys that I'd been playing PlayStation with from grammar a couple of years below, they were like, yep, I'll join and bring all my friends. And I thought, oh, this is gonna be good. This is what I need. So that happened, and all of a sudden, I wasn't the ringleader, but I definitely had a group of boys who were like listening to me, like, he's the best at football, he's the captain, he's the coach. I was calling referees, trying to organize games and stuff. So that responsibility, I think, like, was like, okay.
Would you say that's the first time you at least felt actually responsible?
Yep, for sure. I mean, in Europe, I definitely felt responsible when I had to like take care of myself.
For yourself, but for
Other
something
people,
outside yourself?
Exactly right. And looking outward on like, how can I be positive instead of how can I gain stuff from the world, was when I did that. I started thinking, oh, I want the boys to have the best time as opposed to myself. Like, I'd happily put myself on the bench. But when I did that and hearing the boys say, no, we need you, it like just made me feel really wanted and needed, which is again what I needed. But yeah, so met one boy called Charlie, and immediately like just got on like a house on fire. He was me, but like 2 years younger.
Okay.
And he was suffering from some of the things that I...
How was he you? Like, what did you see that...
He was outgoing, but quite loud as a person, and acted then thought.
Sure.
and
Rough around the edges.
Yep.
Not everyone's into it.
exactly right. It had some not enemies, but definitely had some like he was quite polarizing. And he was just down to do stuff, which I hadn't really. He'd be like, "Yo, come out with me and my friends." I was like, "Oh yeah," because we had a period where we were going out all the time, and I loved that. And that was a learning experience for me. But then yeah, having this outlet of Charlie, and he was quite good at soccer as well, and me and him would just pass, basically like take on the whole team together. It was just like pass. It was like a good bonding experience. And then I was like, move in with me for a couple of weeks, and he like jumped at that opportunity, and from then on he was like, "Yo, we got to get big." I don't even know where it came from. Literally,
As in,
jacked.
Yeah.
Get really like put on a lot of size, and I was always shredded, like
yeah.
really very skinny, like 55 kilograms at 6'2".
So in 2021, you were 55 kilograms.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. I've got a photo.
Oh my God.
I was very malnourished.
Wow.
Yeah, my
'Cause
elbows.
I remember you, like, it's not like you didn't talk about, well, I think every young boy talks about getting big, but you were just like, nah, genetics, I can't eat. But then you'd eat shit and not eat a lot
exactly right. It's a very cliche, skinny white boy thing to say. Is like,
Yeah.
I can't eat food. I was very victim to that. My elbows were bigger than my like biceps. It was like I was just boned. Anyways, Charlie and this whole process from school to Europe to lockdown, I've been very focused on girls. That was my outlet. That was, this is how you get popularity. Just everything revolved around girls. And I'd been getting girls and had comments on my body and stuff that were positive. So I didn't have this huge impetus to like get big or get this physique that I didn't even know was possible to get. And Charlie was the first person to talk to me and say, "You're delusional," basically. Like, what are you doing?
You're a skinny rat.
You're skinny, you're ugly, like all this stuff. It was brutal, but I needed to hear it. And he put himself in the same boat. He's like,
well, both.
yes, we're both here. It's me and you, and I needed that. It was me and you against the world.
We're both skinny and ugly.
Exactly right, both skinny and ugly. And there's this round
Did he
table.
say skinny and ugly, or did he say skinnier and uglier than we should be?
Something like that.
Okay.
So it was just two blokes trying to G each other up.
Yeah.
And there was a round table here that is and I remember sitting me and Charlie talk about this round table chat we had, and he's like, "Bro, you gotta stop thinking about girls. You gotta focus on yourself. You gotta get big. I'm telling you, it will all fall into place." And I remember hearing this from everyone, like, whatever. But he actually held my hand and was like, "Every day we're gonna eat food. We're gonna get up. We're gonna go to the garage, and we did this one bench press." And I got videos from there. And we just worked. We worked really hard.
I remember being on the phone and you telling me about this.
Yeah, it was so good. The happiest I've probably ever been. Well, obviously I'm happy now, but like this change of like, oh my God, this is amazing.
And how quickly, like, what's the time period of this?
So this is
Going from that round table to like, wow, I feel like I'm jacked.
Okay, so this was June 2021.
Yeah.
When we had that round table chat. But it was Charlie has drive. Before like 2020, 2019, we'd had conversations, and this quote you told me, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And I remember being like, oh, that's a really good quote, but like everything everyone had ever told me, it didn't really stick in my mind. But Charlie he just didn't have like a alternate option. We have to get big. We have to do this. Like, why are you sleeping in till 10? You should be eating your first meal. Like, it was just constant. So that was 2021, June. And from the next morning, we just got up and cooked food, didn't order food, just obsessed, put all our lost direction into one thing. And it took probably 3 months.
Yeah, it's 3 months. I feel like if you got any goal or clarity and certainty, all it takes is 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. And I immediately was a new person, literally night and day different. I have very good genetics for bodybuilding, which again just motivated me even more. Like I'd felt like I was good at soccer, but I was never the best. But people were telling me I've got the best genetics they've ever seen, ever. So if I put in the work, I'll be the best ever. That was kind of my thought behind it, and I just needed that. So Charlie helped me. I literally owe everything to Charlie. It's ridiculous. And then about a year in, if Charlie wasn't home, I'd struggle to go to the gym.
Sure.
It didn't flick overnight. It was like this. Sometimes I would be like, oh, let's skip the gym, and he'd be like, no, we're going to the gym. And in the gym, I'd be like, this sucks. What am I doing? But a year in, I thought, oh my God, I'm really good at something and it's not even really what I'm interested in. Like, what the hell? But then it kind of just fell into place. Like, it wasn't something that you just wake up one day and go, I love the gym. I love moving circles up and down. For the only reason is to grow your muscles. When you look at someone working out and you dumb it down, like you move something, it goes literally right back to where you moved it from. Like, you're not progressing the thing. Like, you're not lifting a boulder up a hill. When you get to the top, the boulder stays up there forever. The bicep machine just goes right back to where it was. So you're literally putting energy into like almost nothing. It's really dumb if you think about it.
It's Sisyphus. It's a Sisyphus machine.
I'm not sure what
you know the guy who like has to roll the boulder down up the hill.
Oh, the
and then
Greek
it drops
hero.
every day.
Yeah. I mean, I needed that. Just don't think too much. Again, going back to school, like just don't worry too much about everything. Just go home, eat your food, go to the gym, move circles, like get stronger. Like bench pressing was a big thing for me, like showing people how strong you were. Putting all my energy into meatheady activities really helped my mental health.
Is that just because it simplified things?
Yeah, simplification was really...
Subtraction.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
All just, again, not thinking too much. Don't stress. It'll all be okay. It just gave me purpose. And then, so I got pretty big for like the average Joe that summer. And I remember taking photos and putting them on Instagram and like getting quite a lot of like traction to the photos. And it all just was like dominoes. It was bang, 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 bang. I started getting more attention from girls, which I'd always craved, but I didn't have any time for them because I was in the gym. And me and Charlie were saying we would never drink during winter. Like we just wouldn't go out, we wouldn't party. And that in turn dominoed that. I just started feeling really accomplished. And that brings me to basically now. I've went to Africa, which we'll get onto later, but my cycle at the moment is just winter, go to the gym, eat food.
Yeah.
Don't think about anything else, don't do anything else. Summer, everything's better when you're jacked. Like everything. You walk to Coles in a tight t-shirt and you're getting milk from the fridge and mums are staring at you and dads are like asking you questions and you're like, yeah, bro, like eat your food. And little kids are coming up to you like, oh, what do you do? It's just, and you just love being this dumb brute. It's so good. Like, it's hard to explain to like, to the someone who hasn't actually experienced it. Like, how could you want to be this dumb, almost objectified, but it's so...
Well, you earned that. You earned the right to be objectified.
Yes, I did, and that feels good. But it is really liberating for someone who didn't have much tangible, like positive influences on his life. It was really, really hard for a while. And
did you feel like there was always some like belief, some inner voice saying, hang on, these people should want to stop me in the supermarket. These kids should like me. These dads should have respect on me for something. And this was just the channel that unleashed out onto the world? Or was it like literally no one even should bother with that?
It was, I think it was a bit of, why... Maybe I was really naive and I'd taken comments that people had said, oh, you should model because of your face, or... you have nice bone structure, and I was like, oh, why am I not getting this adoration from everyone? You know what I mean? Like I couldn't discern that. So maybe
the little drop was enough to kind of keep you inactive.
Yeah, exactly right. And I hope I don't sound like some person who thought the world owed him something. I did definitely think that when I was younger, I thought the world owed me something, and then going to the gym and realizing no, it doesn't. If you work hard though, you can really achieve anything. That was the mental switch that really helped. And again, Charlie had that. Other people I met in the gym had that. A lot of people go to the gym need that simple way of thinking.
That's a powerful little message you just dropped in there.
Yeah, right? it is just really. I mentioned to you at a festival, I was sitting with my two friends, and you came over and you're like, oh, it's really cool to see you in this like food, just eat tuna, big muscly like environment, and that environment is in stark contrast to Melbourne Grammar and the bickering and the double like meanings, and or at least what I was perceiving from school. And it's so nice to have someone be like, hey bro, have you had your food yet? Or how are you feeling? Or just like really dumb questions. Oh, you look big, bro, ha ha ha, like give you a cuddle. Like it's so warming, and it's what I needed. And I just took it and ran, and here I am, just winter bulk, summer enjoy, and make as much money as possible, really.
Perfect. Yeah, wow. So what's like, you get big in 3 months, and you basically get 80% of the benefits in 3 months. So how do you keep on going? What's the destination? Where, like,
so
now 3 years later, what's going on?
At that 3 month period, me and Charlie would go to gyms, and people would be like, oh, you guys are quite good looking and you're big, you should do something with it. And Charlie mentioned to me one night, he was like, oh, like I really wanted to do YouTube when I was younger. And I had always just tried to make videos on stuff through school. Like I'd have a mountain bike on my farm and I'd make mountain biking videos and then make soccer videos and stuff. And I immediately grabbed that and was like, let's do that. Let's make gym videos. Everyone tells us that Charlie's 6'4" and like very good looking. And as I said, I've got quite good genetics. So why don't we try our hand at that? For that, you need to be huge. You need to be really big.
Okay.
Because if you're not really big and you're trying to do social media, then you immediately, I don't know why they get so much hate, but it's just a bit like someone who doesn't know what they're talking about telling the world how to do something. It doesn't sit right with a lot of people, especially professional bodybuilders.
Because you're not now just in the gym, the biggest guy in the gym. You're kind of going out and saying, I'm the biggest guy in the internet.
Exactly right. So that was our motivation to get enormously big. And also there's definitely a little bit of, I don't know what the right word for it is, but eating disorders and body dysmorphia definitely come into it. When you go to the gym and you get a pump, you look 15% bigger than you are. But if you're constantly getting bigger...
I think psychologically it's probably more than 15% because you look just objectively bigger. Yeah. But then because of all the endorphins going through your head, you feel like...
you get a God complex in the gym. When you're looking good, you get a God complex in the gym. And everyone gets it. It's why gyms are quite scary to new people, because they see all these people who look quite egotistical. They're really not. They're just in their own mind, like, oh my God. But when you talk to them, they're very nice. But body dysmorphia with the pump thing, you go to the gym, you take photos, and then you go home, and the next day you're walking in the reflection and you put on a short t-shirt, but you see yourself in the reflection and you're like, oh my God, you look so little. And you immediately go home and you go, I need to get bigger. You get sick and you lose 2 kilograms. It's this constant uphill battle again that you're never going to win. You literally will never be big enough. Just like when you lift the weights, you're not actually progressing something except your muscles. And if you don't eat food after you progress your muscles, it's all pointless anyway. Okay. So that dumb mindset, again, I'm trying to like really harp on about it, is what I needed. Like, you can just do stuff at no point.
It's just, that's ultimately living in the present.
Exactly right. Like doing stuff because it makes you feel good in that moment and not worrying about everything else.
Yeah.
But that's how I started social media.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, I actually had it written down, like, why did you start social media? What are the unexpected outcomes? Because I imagine you would have, because it was quite somewhat intentional, and we like making videos, and we kind of see what it's also you're not doing anything revolutionary on social media, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what are the outcomes that you didn't expect?
Well, first off, we didn't expect to even get this big. Getting noticed and asked for photos and stuff, that is really weird. Like, everyone says, "Oh, it's weird," but it's genuinely like disconcerting. Like,
I've never met you.
yeah, and I'll be at an event, like I'll be at a festival with my shirt off, not in my right frame of mind, like not sober. And I'll just get this tap on my shoulder and this dude will like hug me out of nowhere. Yo, I watch your videos. Can we get a photo? And it's just like, it's so odd. It's so weird. Like, you immediately have this bond with someone that they feel like they know you.
It's a one-way.
Yeah, because they've seen your videos. They see what you eat. They know your habits. Because when you're on YouTube,
you're not doing it too detached. You're speaking with your real voice and saying
exactly right. And it is quite nice. It's like I've got all these friends that I never had in school, even though I don't really have these friends. But it's.
But again, they have you.
Yeah.
And it's not so much as you said about the soccer team. It's not about you being on the field. It's
It's really, really good. So that's one thing we didn't expect, at least not so quickly.
Sure.
The YouTube was let's do this as a hobby, and then maybe when we finish uni and stuff, it'll be like, oh, okay, we can do this for a couple of years, and then we can do something else. But we've been doing it for about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we're flying. So we didn't expect to make money off it, but we do. Don't have to work. We do work, but like don't have to do it 9 to 5, which is really good, really nice. And yeah, just really simplifies my life.
And like, what would you, just real quick before we move on, what would you advise someone who is maybe sees themselves in a similar journey to what you've just said, and is maybe taking that social media or that kind of extending it onto the world step? What advice would you give to them?
Planning. Social media specifically is very, set your dominoes up first and then go for it.
What does that actually look like?
So in bodybuilding, you look better with a tan.
Okay.
Right?
Do it in the context that you understand.
So you look better with a tan. You're going to get more attention when you're bigger, and you're going to get more attention when you're shredded. Okay. So what I would do if I was trying to make social media is I would get as big as possible over a year period. And then in summer, get shredded, get tanned, and be big, obviously. And then throw the kitchen sink at it all at once. Don't start with little dribs and drabs. Just start filming everything, putting everything up there, because
just that momentum dump on.
Exactly right. Whereas if you don't do that and you're like, oh, I'll post my physique now, I'll start now, which is good. But if you don't look insane right now, then people will see you, and then you won't get the attention, and then you'll kind of be forgotten about. And you can obviously gain that traction back when you get bigger and more tan in summer, but it's quite demotivating.
Yeah, I imagine the process. Unless you're filming, like, for instance, this is my journey to get big.
Yeah.
So you're kind of saying, okay, watch my rise.
Yeah.
But if you're like, no, this is me now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a
exactly.
flop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The watch me get big thing is great. But the same rule of you have to throw the kitchen sink at it does apply. You have to film everything. You can't just film one video a day is getting big. You have to film diet, workout plan, routines, collabing. You have to film yourself at home, your mindset, because people are so consumed by it.
Yeah, wow.
Every content you put out will be appreciated. If you don't put out enough, then...
So you really don't think you can half-ass it?
No, you can't. I mean, if your physique is insane, you can, but you haven't half-assed your physique. So, do you know what I mean? You can either put a lot of effort into social media and you can get famous, because there are people with, I don't like to say mid physiques, but there are people who definitely don't put in that much work to their physique who are famous because, again, they
doing everything.
Do everything. Live stream, have an editor, or edit themselves, work really hard, stay up all night, all that stuff. So plan. Don't just go willy-nilly at it.
Yeah, very cool. What was I gonna? You picked that one up. I'll cut this a little bit. But what were we saying before that? Oh yeah, that's right. Like, and you just said before, like, you don't have to do the Is that comfy?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, like you were just saying before, you don't have to do the 9 to 5 and all this stuff you were telling me, you know, just literally life is go to the gym and eat.
Yep.
You know, and yeah, the money's, I mean, it might not be riches yet, but it's like it's coming in, it's sorted,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like going down that unique path,
Mm.
because everything else is like, you know, uni and this and that and safety and blah, 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 whatever it looks like. How does it actually feel to be forging a path uniquely?
Oh,
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
no, I know what you're talking about because I'm thinking about this constantly. It is alarming is you always have an anxiety of, okay, I am forging my path, but am I forging the path in the right direction?
Sure.
Like snow, you can not all progress is good progress in terms of what we're doing.
Okay.
If you're at uni, as long as you're passing, as long as you're learning,
It's all in the same direction towards
exactly
that
right.
degree.
That's the benefit of uni.
It's the structure.
Exactly. Us, well, the SlimBros, my brand, it is very alarming day to day when perhaps today I haven't made any content, right? But if I had put out content that is bad, I would suggest that's the wrong direction because it damages how people see you.
Sure.
So it is very, okay, I need to think, what am I doing constantly? But again, it's also very freeing. I don't have time to get in my head about stuff. I have things to do. I have content to make. I have food to eat. It's that structure that you don't have at uni, I actually do have. It's not tangible.
Yeah.
Because I can't just wake up and not go to the gym.
So where have you got that? Obviously the gym and the food thing is relatively straightforward, but even in that content game, like who or where have you gained that structure from?
This is the thing. There is no handbook, and I remember, and then people ask me, "Oh, how do you guys know what you're doing?" Me and Charlie sit on these couches at night with food and just talk. Like we don't go out on Saturday night. So Saturday night we'll just sit from 5 p.m. once we get home from the gym and just be like, okay, what are we going to do in summer? How are we going to do that? What kind of photos do we want to do in summer? What kind of aesthetic are we going for? It's that constant chat, which if you're doing this alone, you probably don't have because you are thinking about it. And that's the benefit of having Charlie. I can bounce stuff off him. But yeah, it came from myself really. I just had to look at other people, what they were doing, but then realize that an American content doesn't necessarily translate to Australia.
Sure.
There's a lot of American creators who do things that in Australia with tall poppy syndrome you'd get bullied.
Yeah.
So you have to have a bit of self-mitigate. You have to identify what will work and what won't work. That's a process. Again, you can get stuff wrong, which we've definitely got wrong. But yeah, just chucking the kitchen sink at it, as I said before, you kind of figure out what the right direction is. And once you figure that out, you have to remember it.
So really just like, I think that's the kind of similar answer to before. It's like, it's a planning, it's a real intentfully zoomed out look, knowing which steps, and then also just commitment.
Yeah, exactly right. It's commitment is probably, again, with everything, the most important
Actually,
thing.
one thing I've learned in the last, accumulatively in the last 6 months, but just been hammered home in this last few weeks, is the power of clarity and certainty. And I guess what you're kind of saying is planning gives clarity and commitment gives certainty.
Exactly. Like, that's exactly right. Exactly right. If you are unsure, second guessing yourself, it isn't really a recipe for success because you really need to believe in what you're doing for longevity.
Yeah.
If you're constantly waking up being like, oh, am I doing the right thing?
Is this the right thing? Yeah.
Every time I have a shower, Charlie listens to music. I don't. I just stand in the shower and just think, like, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it.
That's the mindset training.
Yeah. I just felt myself doing it. I didn't really realize until Charlie was like, oh, you go in the shower and you just stand there, like you don't have to play music. You are in there for a while. I'm just talking to myself like, wow. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. You're doing the right thing.
When did that start? When did you pick up on it, and when do you think it started?
I picked up on it probably when I got my first viral video. Okay. I did a transformation video.
I remember the one. Is that the one that Larry Wheels?
Yeah. Larry Wheels, the world's strongest man, reacted to, and I remember being like, wow, like this is awesome. This is so cool.
And I'm not going to let this slip.
I'm exactly right. I went to that was probably the first time because I went to a party in Williamstown, one of Charlie's friends' parties. And we just started the SlimBros because we all had our individual accounts first. And then we thought, let's just do a joint one. And there was one of Charlie's mates was like, oh, the SlimBros. It's like a mate. He was a mate, but it was also a bit of like just a bit of a dig.
Yeah.
As soon as he said that, some bloke who I'd never met came up to me and goes, bro, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? Got to his phone, and it's Larry Wheels like reacting to my video, and it's got like 5 million views and like comments, boom, 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 boom. And he's like talking about my physique, and I just like, it validated everything I've done. Like,
Yeah.
he in his office in LA somewhere can react to me, just sent me. I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah, I just stand in the shower and I go, you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. I never have doubt. I never think, oh, I'm not going to make it.
So that's almost a preemptive thing. It's not like I have doubts, so I need to say that. It's like, no, I'm just going to ward off any doubt that might come down the line.
Yeah,
by making
exactly
this a
right.
thing.
It's a sense of self-belief, but it's definitely not forced. I just don't, there's not a world, if I put in the work where I don't make something of myself. And it might not be millions and millions of subscribers. I'd be naive to say I'm going to meet a million, like I could break a leg and I could lose an arm. I could never do this again. But if I put in the work, I will be happy. Like I'll be happy with what I achieved.
Sure.
Whereas before, at university or working at a nightclub, that uncertainty of even if I do the work, am I going to be happy? Like, is this really what I want? No. Just wasn't there. So yeah, it's definitely that clarity, and the commitment is just like.
And since that roundtable chat, or maybe since the 3 months or whichever one, like in this last 3 years, what's has there been a darker moment? Has there been a lapse of motivation? Has there been some self-doubt crept?
Yep. There's it's a period of about 4 weeks that happens sometimes based on my own actions, and it is always the same. I went traveling for 8 weeks.
Sure.
I went to Africa, and I dipped back into that intellectual side of history and humanities that I have and I've always loved. Went to Africa, took
You took off the brutish kind of...
Yeah, exactly right. I not abandoned it, but I shed it for 8 weeks. I went to Egypt. I spent a lot of time in Egypt. Basically Sudan, Morocco, and Spain.
Cool.
And I read the book The Alchemist, and I did that backwards, essentially.
Yeah.
And it was the best trip I've ever been on. I've got to do a podcast myself about it. So many stories and stuff. But I lost a lot of size. I came back and I wasn't back to square one, but not eating can definitely do a lot of damage.
And over there, even if you do it, you're going to get food poisoning and
Exactly.
stuff,
We swam in the Nile, which you probably shouldn't have done, but Charlie and myself were sick for about 2-3 days after that.
But again, that's kind of like, and this is a weird way of putting it, but it's almost a vaccine against future doubt, because yes, you might have let it slip in that sense, but you fed those other parts of yourself and they didn't have to come exploding out 2 years down the track.
Yeah, exactly right. No, I don't regret doing it, but yeah, it definitely introduced me for the second time to, oh my God, I've got a mountain to climb again.
Sure.
And a mountain is always easier to climb when you think you're almost at the top.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at the bottom, it is really hard to start. Whereas...
But now you're not starting. It's like it's kind of a second summit.
Yeah. If I think about the gym when my eating's going well, when I'm training hard and I'm not injured, I'm almost at the top of the mountain. I'm never going to make it to the top because you can't.
Yeah. Just a state of being.
Exactly right. At the top of the mountain, is just ultimate happiness. And you're basically there when everything's going right. And the content, and you're getting views online. When I came back from Africa, I wasn't eating. Mm-hmm. I had lost a lot of progress. Therefore, when I'm in the gym, I'm not as strong, I'm not as big, the pumps, I don't look as good. and then you can't make content because no one wants to see you if you're skinnier.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you've gone backwards. Like, you know. So that's a period where it happened the first summer. We got big. We like, oh my God, we're big. We're going to be big for the rest of our lives. And we didn't. We lost it all. But those 4-week periods where you have to be like, okay, cool. Like,
So it's a 4-week turnaround. You're kind of in
yeah.
the shit for 4 weeks.
Yeah, because muscle memory, you put on muscle much quicker.
Yeah.
And you know how to eat. So everything, it gets just done way quicker.
Yeah.
But it is 4 weeks of, I'm not even making progress. I'm literally just going back to where I was before.
From the first time, that first summer,
Yeah.
to whenever the last time was,
Yep.
was it more than 4 weeks back then? Or have you shrunk that? Or have you become better mental state during that? Like, what are the tips? Because I think everyone has
Yeah.
similar periods.
It's always going to be 4 weeks, but it's not 4 weeks of hell anymore. It's like, it's not really any hell.
You're just aware of what's going on.
Yeah, it's just, I've let it slip a little bit, like lock in.
Yeah.
And again, having that mentality that I've always had with Charlie of, yay, you can just lock in. You don't have to go out. You don't have to. I can literally say to my friends, sorry guys, I'm not seeing you for 4 weeks. I'm not going out. I'm not changing. We have a split, like a workout split. So push, pull legs or Arnold split or whatever you want. If you skip a day, it throws everything off.
Okay.
Or if your friends want to work out with you and they don't want to train legs, so they train chest.
Yeah.
So it throws everything off. And then the day after you're like, well, I trained chest yesterday. I can't train chest today. Like it messes it up. So for 4 weeks, you have a real get out of jail free card of I'm not seeing anyone, I'm not going out. I get to sit on that couch and watch movies till 2 a.m. eating food, wake up at 11 a.m. the next day and eat food and then go to the gym. I can do that and I don't feel like a bum.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting big, and when I am big, people are like, oh my God.
And you're also getting views and money for being big.
Exactly right.
And I think that's a big thing and that's kind of the fundamental glue of it all.
Yep.
And is that just in the social media? Like, how would life have been different if you had, wanted to become big for yourself, as you say, for that validation, that internal state, but then not taken that leap to social media and just done uni and a job or become a tradie or whatever you do? I imagine you thought about that a fair bit.
Oh, yeah. But almost as a fear of I can't do anything that I need to work. And again, this is really silly thinking and naive, but I just can't see myself getting up at a time and doing something. And it's hard to, like, I'd work a job when social media hadn't taken off. I'd move offices and I'd enjoy it. I'd be with my friends. Charlie worked it. All our friends worked it. But getting up at 4:50, going to the city, and then moving offices for 13-hour days sometimes, and then coming home and not being able to go to the gym, I thought, okay, I can't do a trade. And I've never really wanted to do a trade. Yeah. And I also can't sit still in an office. There is literally no option other than to make money somehow and then create your own business or create something that generates it for you. Yeah. I really enjoy working on my own schedule. I work long hours when I'm doing social media, like properly. I work 10-hour days regularly. Yeah. Some people consider it more. Like, I'll edit a YouTube video after I film it. The filming takes 4 hours. Yeah. The editing takes 20 hours. Yeah. And I'll literally stay up all night doing it, eat food all night, sleep in the morning, edit it again in the afternoon, sleep again. And then then I have to redo it again in 3 days' time. Yeah. So but that doesn't seem like work to me. Yeah. I love it. I love, okay, this shot wasn't as good. I'll get a better shot next time. What color grading can I do? I heard cool music, a rock band. Let me make this next YouTube video a dark rock-based vibe, and we'll communicate to people watching how like hard we're working. Like, all we do is go to the gym at night, and there's rain and stuff. My creative side comes out. And I really relish that. And there's no real other option for me in terms of...
Was that... Because obviously, and I think a lot of people have this feeling, especially in the modern day of social media, it's kind of so accessible. Yep. And not that it's not hard as hell, but like anyone can. I mean, look at us right now. Like anyone can do anything. Yep. And you can get so close to that top tier level of production. Yep. Just with, $1,000 of equipment and hours of the day.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly right.
Was that a slow burn? Because you're saying you had to go all in, but you know, reels and stuff, it's kind of easier to go all in just because there's just
Yeah.
less of a
Yeah,
knowledge
yeah.
gap. But something like YouTube, like,
Yeah.
was that a bit of a...
So this is the thing I mentioned before about planning. We planned, but again, there's no handbook, so your planning could be wrong half the time.
Sure.
And it's a constant plan. You don't plan for 6 months and then you enact it. It's you're planning the entire time, and then while you're putting into plan, you're making a new plan for the next 2 months. So I started with TikTok, and TikTok is the easiest to grow.
Yeah.
So we thought, all right, mentally, if we're growing quite quickly on TikTok, that'll motivate us in every other part of our life.
Sure.
And it did. I'd regularly get 100k views, 200k views before.
That's wild, isn't it? 100,000, that's the MCG.
Yeah, and that wasn't even the big ones. There was, again, my most is like 5 million views.
So every single person in Melbourne, even if it's just a quick swipe, every single person in Melbourne is seeing your shares.
Yeah, exactly.
Funny.
And you don't get pushed. Even if that is swipe, you're only getting pushed to people if people are actually watching it. So it's not like 5 million people just went boom. Like a lot of people would have had to actually watch the whole thing through.
That's actually mental. Like the internet and the global economies and stuff just blow my mind.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's scary, and you kind of lose a grip on like how many people that actually is. Like at the moment, I'm getting 100k views a lot weekly.
Yeah.
100k is a lot of people, and
But it's not a lot in the TikTok
exactly right.
sphere.
Exactly right. So that TikTok was what spurred me to do it, and the planning was, okay, now we're going to introduce YouTube. We had to plan for YouTube, which is what you mentioned. We had to be like, okay, cool. If we're making videos now, YouTube is a community thing. So there's no negative benefit of building a community early, even if not many people really listen to you. You're still better off than if no one listens to you before, if you never started. Whereas TikTok is different because everyone can see you. You can build a negative image very quickly.
Okay, so TikTok, because of the nature of it, just pumping out to anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
Way more.
Exactly.
It's like you don't want to just,
just do anything. You want to really put some effort in and like have your
be good from the start.
Exactly right. Whereas YouTube.
So people have to actively opt into watching the YouTube video, even if it does rock up. It's long.
Exactly.
Subscribe.
Yeah. And it's very easy for people to. People like watching the process on YouTube. Like you get bigger. Whereas TikTok, instant gratification.
And they don't mind a bit of like, they don't really know how to film. So
exactly.
It's more genuine.
Some people
you have
love
longer
that.
with them.
Some people literally love that. Some people take pride in, I was there from the start.
Yeah.
Like that's a big, big thing. I was there from the start. I'm a day one. Especially if you do end up making it. It's like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
People love. So yeah, YouTube, we're like, let's just do it. Felix had a creative drive to do it, which the other boys, and they'll admit they didn't have. They had way more drive in the gym than I did.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a mutual. Felix is good at filming. He knows what to film. He knows how to color grade. He'll put in the work. The boys will cook my dinner while I'm editing, or they'll
make sure you rock up to the gym.
Exactly right. So the YouTube was boys, we're funny, or we think we're funny. Felix is good at filming. Let's just do it. And it was slow. Like it is slow. We're actually doing a lot of views for the fitness community. The top fitness community get 20k views a video.
Really? Yeah.
We're getting 5.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's pretty good for YouTube, and we're just.
And I think the YouTube thing is because it is longer form and is more kind of higher value, higher quality customers in a sense.
Exactly.
Like, it really rewards consistency over crazy big numbers.
Yeah. People who watch your YouTube will buy, will use your code.
Yeah.
They'll buy pre-workout and you'll get money from that.
You might have 1 million views on TikTok, but 10 people buy something where 5,000 views, but 100 people.
Exactly right. I'm not going to name names, but there's a bloke on TikTok with 150k subscribers or followers. And he has a bad physique and he knows that. And his content is, my physique isn't great, but I know a lot about the gym, right? So he gets a lot of views because people he's like, oh, this is how you do stuff.
Maybe not intimidated by.
Exactly right. But he only has 3k followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Whereas I have 50k followers on TikTok, which is, a third, half of what he has. But we have 20k on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because my content is like on YouTube, I've built that community a bit more than he has.
Yeah.
And then therefore those people will use my code for pre-workout or clothing and stuff like that.
Sure. So the TikTok, Instagram, YouTube seems to be a bit of a pyramid, like
Yep.
of like importance.
Yep.
Is it possible to just focus in on one? Or-
Yeah. Of course. It's just, yes, but why would you, if you can focus on three?
Sure.
But if you do want to focus on one, because let's say I don't have a camera, I don't have the money for a camera, YouTube needs a good quality camera. Like people won't watch your videos if it's very low quality. No one can sit through 30 minutes of microwave quality, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But you might go, all right, but I can do Instagram. My physique is insane. Let me just post photos on Instagram. There is a market for that. Instagram has the most users.
Yeah.
So brands, ads, all of that stuff. You can get a code. Gymshark will sponsor you just from Instagram.
Yeah.
They're more likely to sponsor you if you're making gym videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Smaller creators will get a code if they're doing YouTube, which was our motivation for YouTube.
Yeah.
Apart from my own creative desires.
Yeah.
TikTok, on the other hand, is useless for all of it.
But it's just like quick clout.
Quick clout,
Yeah.
funneling to YouTube, funneling into Instagram.
Yeah, brilliant. So just taking it back to kind of, I guess, your story. You said like, and you did make mention of it, like for a long time, girls were the thing. Like obviously now the gym is, and it's a lot more pure, and it gives you basically everything, right?
Yep.
And you're in a really good place. What was your perspective and relationship with like the feminine, like the girls? How has that changed? Where is it now? What's it looking like on the future trajectory? Like,
I never had issues getting girls in whatever form. Like
getting girls
going to
like
the club,
casual, like in a casual sense.
Yeah, in a casual sense, or even in a relationship sense. Like there would be, if I wanted to see a girl and date her, I'd never had an issue with that. Had a girlfriend, was young, just didn't work out, but then didn't really lose any sleep over it because I was getting quite a bit of attention, and this is before I went to the gym. And yeah, was on Tinder and would have quite a lot of success.
I remember.
Yeah, quite a lot of success, but not quality at all, and really like just bad for the mental health. It's just really very bad for mental health.
Is that just because the nature of externalizing?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. It wasn't like a, it's the right word. I didn't have to do too much for it, but it still consumed my mind.
Do you think you said that to yourself, and maybe continue to say that to yourself, like that you didn't have to do much to it, but you actually were doing a lot? You didn't feel like it?
I was. It's hard to. I don't want to sound blunt. I would constantly put in all.
I feel like if anyone is listening to this point, they've got a nuance enough for you to forgive a bit of bluntness.
Yeah. Okay. So the procuring of a singular person, I didn't have to do a lot of, but I was procuring a lot of people, so I was doing a lot of work for it.
Sure. Okay.
So getting something never made me feel any better or made me relax or do anything. It was a constant cycle of you're never going to win.
And were you out there to just again like feel like validified, or was it a bit of like, is someone going to save me here, or like?
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember not wanting a relationship. And I remember enjoying what I was doing. Yeah. I never thought, oh, this is bad. People would say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. It's bad.
Did any girls like? Because I imagine as you were perceiving them, not because of them, but maybe if they're allowing themselves in that situation, is a bit of them as well. But were there any that kind of surprised you, slipped through the cracks? No names or anything, but like you kind of made you think twice, or like, whoa, I didn't. Yeah. I'm thinking a bit differently here, or was it all just one of the same?
I think this might sound a bit rogue. I had a view on girls that was very influenced by the internet. And I kind of wanted to make a narrative in my head because I had in my mind, so many enemies.
Mm.
Again, this is just getting out of school and being very alone. Because I had a lot of enemies, I projected that onto girls. And
They were the enemy.
not they were the enemy, but yeah, in a sense, they didn't care about me
Okay.
like everybody else. And my get back at the world was to be this playboy who was getting what he wanted.
Mm.
Whether hearing stuff on the internet about like never trust females and stuff, all of that, I just ran with it.
Yeah.
Didn't really know what I was talking about, but I would see enough of that in my interactions with girls. And half of it was because of the girls that I was interacting with. But I'd see that
But
and
also project those.
then, exactly. And I'd see that and be like, oh, right, oh my God, this is right. And I would just do that and do that and do that and do that. And it wasn't until I broke the circuit with the round table chat about stop going for girls
Okay.
that it was, oh.
So it was never a particular girl, for instance, that kind of snapped you out of that. It was literally the gym.
It was literally the gym. It was, there was girls who I, not let slip, but there's people that I remember being like, oh, you weren't what I initially thought you were. And I've realized that now.
Yeah. But you've realized that since the gym?
Yes.
Like in hindsight?
Yes.
Okay.
Since the gym, since I've matured.
Have you done, has there been any desire to like, do they hate you?
No.
Or
So I've definitely
say-
caught up with people since.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, out of almost a, oh my God, I'm being embarrassed about who I was. Let me write that shit.
Okay.
And yeah, going for walks with
How's
people.
that been? Like,
Good. Yeah, good. I've enjoyed writing, not writing wrongs, but like, I've enjoyed being like, see, and they've done the same thing. Like there was a story, I won't go into too much detail, but I was seeing a girl and she, I remember telling her this philosophy that I had in my mind that I'd just mentioned about girls being wrong and all that stuff. And she had actually done something, we'd been speaking, we had a chat about not doing anything with anyone else. And she had actually done something with someone 2 days earlier.
yeah.
And she had told me, she'd been like, oh, I did something. After I had this chat, she was like, oh, I have to admit something, I've done something. And stuff like that would just exacerbate my mind.
For sure.
So I caught up with her a year or two ago, and we like both were like, yep, we were young and very silly. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because like you're kind of, again, with the girls who are willing to play that game with you, you're projecting that onto them. And by nature of you projecting that, and also by the nature of them, I mean, it doesn't come from nowhere.
Oh,
that
exactly.
internet stuff.
Yeah,
like, you know, there's more than a single grain of truth into it.
Yeah.
So if, you know, there's plenty of girls that are living that out at least, you know, and then if you're looking for it, it's, as you say.
Exactly right. I definitely have, since the gym, been like, okay, there was a Felix that was just a nasty person, not malicious. I never had any, like, I never wanted to hurt anyone, ever. Like, I didn't want to, like, break hearts or string along people or anything like that. It was literally just a young, like, quite excited boy about girls and the possibility of getting them, and then being like, okay, if I get girls, I'm kind of like earning my stripes kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. There was no malicious, like.
Because I think that was, especially in later years of school, at least my perspective, like a lot of the flack you got was also because of jealousy.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff that was from primary school, maybe a bit of malalignment, blah, blah. But then like when all these guys are thinking they're top shit and Felix isn't, but then Felix is getting 10 times more girls than them, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't see it as jealousy. I remember being like, everyone just hates me. But yeah, I definitely had a bit of issues with, again, I should have just relaxed. And the same thing always comes up. But yeah, since the gym, I've definitely been like, okay, there was a person for that period.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide that person, but I definitely will use that as like thank God I'm not that person anymore.
Sure. And since like, because we kind of had that long chapter of what the gym's done for yourself, how has that then affected your relationship with girls? Obviously, there's probably been less of them because you're just distracted. But sure, summers, you know, are great, as you say. So like, what's going on?
No, it's good.
We can delete anything, so that you can incriminate yourself, or we can cut it out.
So, it's a bit God complexy in summer.
Yeah.
In winter, I don't see anybody. in summer, it is very, I've done more work than any other man here. In this room, again, this is a very crude word to use, high value. Every single girl here would want me, but like, but I almost don't
There's
want them.
definitely a version of them. I think everyone would be lying to themselves if they don't see themselves as a monkey, especially in a sense of like alcohol, party.
Yeah.
And like, if a very attractive guy who's got his shit sorted out, I mean, there's a version of every girl that wants that, right?
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
is.
Yeah, so I've definitely not developed this ego god complex that comes out in summer, but I definitely, Charlie would say the same thing. I definitely relish flexing muscle, the metaphorical muscle of I can get this person, or let me do some stuff that I would never be able to do before, and do it quite casually.
Yeah. Is there anything that comes to mind?
Oh, Michaela Testa, who is this quite famous OnlyFans model who has like hundreds of thousands of followers, and is like a couple of years ago she was in the public eye.
Yeah.
She was all over TikTok, millions of followers. She was in my DMs and like wanting to fly me and Charlie out to Spain and stuff, like all of that. But I didn't end up doing it to Spain because of this process of me and Charlie, like, no, like we're not there yet. Let's go back. Let's work hard. Let's go to the gym.
So you're not cashing in your chips.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And in summer at festivals, I'd never kiss a girl at a festival or anything like that. But just existing at the festival is enough validation for me. And that's switch. Whereas before it was go, everything. Whatever tools you've got, use them, cash in everything right now.
Yeah.
Whereas me walking around at a festival, more jacked than anybody else, taking care of my skin, like just being a being of like that people would want to be is enough for me.
Do you think that if you were to go in that setting in those dark 4 weeks, you'd be a lot more susceptible to seeking that?
Yeah. It wouldn't be as what's the right word? It would be more of a shrink. Like if I was to go to a festival in that 4 weeks, it would be more of like, I don't belong here. I'm almost below everybody else because I've seen
so far below your potential.
Exactly right. But yeah,
What kind of, whether it's a girl, whether it's a life, whether it's a whatever, what do you envisage eventually causing you to cash in your chips? Do you just not see it at all right now?
I don't see it at all. The process of like, I really enjoy the process of no end, like with the gym, like with anything really, like with girl, like there's just no end. And like, again, I'm really benefiting from not having an end goal. Like Felix's end goal was getting girls.
Yeah.
So, but getting girls never brought me any happiness. So if I remove the end goal, there is no end goal. Just live, be happy, be jacked, be tanned, be happy. That's my goal. There's no end to happiness. You could be happy for 60 years.
And then I guess as you get older and those things become hard, you'll naturally transition that around.
Yeah, exactly right. Like me and Charlie, I've kind of awoken Charlie's love for traveling. He'd never really done any of that before me, and we've both mentioned when we're older, hopefully this social media thing carries through. We'll just do travel content and we'll go do other stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a process of enjoy your hard work, but don't like think you're at the end.
So the gym's just taught you more than anyone I really know face to face very well, like how to be present.
Yeah, the gym has, my advice for everyone, if anyone is listening, is just find something and you can try heaps of things. Like it took me a while, but just do something that kind of takes up your focus. I met someone from school the other day, just quickly, at a party, and we just went there to wish this girl happy birthday. And there was a person from grammar, and he had got a job at a banking thing, and he used to be into the gym. He's looked the worst for wear.
Okay.
And I was in a basketball jersey with my arms out and like, looking quite buff. And I heard later that he had only been at that party because he texted a girl and said, "Oh, I bought a bunch of coke and I've got no one to do it with. What are you doing tonight?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to this party. I can take you if you let me have the coke."
Okay.
And that's what he was doing. And someone like that needs, his job is he's a banker.
Yeah.
Someone like that needs.
It's not something you want to throw yourself into.
Exactly. Someone like that needs something like windsurfing or running or chess. Just don't get your validation from buying a bag of coke on Friday night and then texting the first person in your phone.
But we all kind of know that. I think there's a lot of pressure or perceived pressure, but real pressure maybe from parents or society or literally just the bank, the tax man, your car breaking down of like, I mean, if I don't, I can maybe have a few moments of exploring. Do I like this? Do I like that? But if I don't hit something that I really like, well, when I hit 25, for instance, do I keep on doing that, or do I kind of just settle into some groove like the bank, you know? And it's like, how old do you get until you decide that? Or do you just have to, fuck it, I'm 25, I'm not willing to settle in, but I'm also not willing to keep on exploring. So whatever's in front of me, I'm going there for.
Yeah. I definitely think there's a element of whatever you have in front of you. If you do it for long enough, you'll end up like if it's not, like, obviously a job might be boring, but a sport or something, if you do it for long enough and you get good enough, you'll end up enjoying it. Like if you get good at anything, you'll end up enjoying it more. I just think someone like that, if he had the gym, because I'm going to use my example, he wouldn't be doing that on a Friday night, because if you're getting your meals in, you can't be out doing coke on a Friday. You don't eat on coke, you wake up the next day feeling like shit, so you can't go to the gym. That just taking up my time, people need more of that. If you do need to focus on money and there is that pressure, by all means do that. But you have to find...
But if you, again, I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in you, I've seen it in a few other people's journeys. If you, as you say, clearly and with clarity and certainty, send it in one direction, it takes about 3 months.
Yeah, literally takes 3 months. If you haven't seen any progress in 3 months, you're either doing something wrong, like you're not
clear or certain.
Exactly. Or that thing isn't for you and you can just pick something else.
Yeah.
Obviously not everyone's going to be a beast at everything.
Yeah. But if you have the idea and you think, oh, there's a part of me that thinks this could be it, send it for 3 months. And
that end goal of for the end of 3 months, if you're happy at the end of 3 months, then it's right. Yeah. Happiness is, again, from someone who's not been happy for a long time, happiness is better than money. And obviously money doesn't buy happiness. Yeah, but it can facilitate an environment to where you are happy. Mm-hmm. If you're not happy, you got to change. You got to do something wrong. Like, do something different. You should be happy the majority of your day. And it's very easy to realize if you're not. If you can't do basic things happy, if you can't do the dishwasher, if you can't clean your house, if you can't just get up and go for a walk for no reason, you're not happy. Like, I never did the dishes when I wasn't happy. I just couldn't be bothered. Yeah. I never went for a walk. Couldn't be bothered. What's the point of a walk? Yeah. I'm not going to be a better person after it. Being happy on that walk, taking in the sun, looking at a bird, looking at a car, looking at a family walk around the park. That's happiness.
It's the love of life.
Exactly. Like, I went for a walk this morning. No reason. I haven't changed a person since the walk. But I had the ability to do that because I'm not, again, for me, I'm not at a job. I'm not seeking girls. Old Felix wouldn't have gone for a walk. He would have gone on his phone and texted girls. It's just, you have to have happiness as the end goal and realize that once you are happy, you can't just stop. It's a constant seek of happiness. And your life will be a lot better for it. At least that's my take on it. Definitely helped me out of the gym.
I think that's a great place to finish up.
Appreciate it.
That was epic.
That was lovely.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you for being here for it. Yeah,
it's good. Hopefully I've made a bit of sense.
Oh, mate, at least to me, 100% sense. And as I say, God knows how few people will watch this thing. But
yeah, exactly. But it'll be cool.
Anyone who does, I think, will be well worth it.
Exactly
well
right.
worth it time.
Yeah, I've been happy doing it, and that's the main point.
Awesome.
Enjoyed.
Shit, yeah. All right.
Fuck yeah, buzz.